Is that a vision in particular, or is that something like the PIM particles transporting her through her time?
Ooh. Gonna have to watch episode 5, my dear.
Ms. Marvel is a wildly unique origin story about the teenager Kamala Khan. Den of Geek spoke with the director of episodes 4 and 5 about all of our burning questions.
We have so many big names in Miss Marvel: Farhan Akhtar, Samina Ahmed, Nimra Bucha, Fawad Khan, Mehwish Hayat. How was it like with working with all of them?
I thought it was so important for us to bring authentic Pakistani actors to tell this story. Everyone that is playing what they're playing, like Samina Ahmed is such a treat to watch as the grandmother. I sort of see my own grandmother, when she talks. And Nimra Bucha, she really is able to epitomize this sort of villain which she plays. And Mehwish Hayat, you'll see some soon. Farhan Akhtar, Mehwish, Fawad, they've all been a treat to work with.
We see Waleed in this episode, and his job seems very short-lived. I assume that he would be training Kamala, perhaps. Is that something that we're going to be seeing?
I think Waleed's role has been to provide context to Kamala so that she understands what the Order of the Red Daggers is, in connecting to who she is and to her great-grandmother. That has been his sort of role in episode 4.
So who is the Red Dagger in this story particularly? Because Kareem's origin has changed from the comics. Are they just supposed to be fighting the clandestines, or is there a larger motive here?
They, of course, have a larger motive, which is to maintain order. And they're part of this long lineage of the Order of Red Daggers. The story that we're focusing on is how they are helping Kamala sort of understand where her power is coming from and how she can hold the clandestines back.
Since you've done a lot of non-fiction work that highlighted social and humanitarian issues in Pakistan, what were some of the challenges you were facing when you were approaching Miss Marvel? And did Teen Bahadur's story help you in any way?
I think the only thing that I found when I was doing Miss Marvel was this enormous sense of responsibility to be able to tell the story of my city, my country, of Partition, in the manner that it deserved to be told. It naturally translated itself from documentary and animation into live action. Things that I've done in my life have prepared me to tell this story. And so I think for me, it was a great sense of responsibility more than anything.
So recreating those scenes of Partition, what were the things that you were concentrating on? And did you perhaps take inspiration from all the stories that our ancestors have talked to us about?
I grew up listening to stories of Partition, and I 15 years ago started the Citizens Archive of Pakistan, which is sole aim has been to collect Partition stories. So I have been listening to these stories, collecting these stories for the better part of the decade. And so what I really wanted Kamala to feel like when she was on the platform is as if she was listening to snatches of real conversations that were taking place. That people were leaving behind their homes and their lives and their friends and their schools and colleges and places that they had called home, never to return again. We've never really showed Partition in Hollywood, and we've rarely ever shown it otherwise. To show it as part of the MCU meant that we had a greater responsibility to tell that story in the truest manner that it needed to be told. And in the anguish with the father and the son hugging each other, and the little girl leading her mother, and two friends hugging, you understand that Partition was as much political as it was personal. It was about leaving your home. And that's what we really wanted to make it come alive.
There's a lot of chatter at the moment about not fully perhaps taking into account discrimination that Muslims face in the US, especially when it's peer-to-peer. And we saw in the comics Zoe was that character for Nakia and Kamala. Is that something that we perhaps would see in the coming episodes, or is that something that wasn't included? And I would just want to know the thought process if that's so.
So I'm going to talk specifically about my episodes because they're sort of not connected to her in Jersey. But I will say that there are hints of that throughout in the conversation that she has with Nakia that you realize the fact that Nakia covers her head is a massive problem, that people see her and perceive her in a certain way. In episode 1, you see that, she in gym class and in the locker room and everywhere, Kamala feels sort of invisible. I think that when you tell a story like that, you tell it with nuances and you tell it in the manner that it should be told in. And I think that there are a lot of instances where you can see that Kamala has been singled out for because she's different. Is it because she's Muslim, or is she brown, or is she shy, or she's weird or quirky? It's a whole lot of different things, I think.
What was your favorite Easter egg in this episode? I did see the barcode for the comic on that photo stand thing. I love the Teddy.
Oh, you did?
It was so funny.
That was because there's so much of that is happening, because people are wanting to eat very quickly and wanting to eat that, so we put that in there. The Ant-Man in the gas station, there's the Pani Puri, going back into, there's so many little things that we sort of put in there. There is an Easter egg in the airport scene, and I'm waiting for someone to find it.
Talking about Karachi, I think one of the things that I was very, very keen on looking out for was how it's depicted, especially because it was shot on location in Thailand. What were the most important things that you wanted to include? I love the biryani drop, by the way. I was waiting for that, and I love that it was in it.
I wanted to make the old town come alive, Sadar and the old town, and that's where our focus was, to be honest. So, in the heritage walk, the cousins take her on, and it's like a mini sort of Bori Bazaar, Sadar, where you see the dupattas being sold, and you see the clocks being sold, and you've got guys who are selling you kurtas, but at the same time, you've got a Chinese dentist over there, and you've got the buses and the trucks and the vehicles that ply our streets. They really make them come alive. All the vehicles that have been used, they are very, very Karachi. And then don't forget that there's so much of Pakistani music, textiles from Pakistan, there's food. It's sort of a real ode to where we come from and who we are. And the best part is that people who are not familiar with our culture all over social media want to hear our music and want to eat the food and are laughing at some of the jokes that we've got that would be considered sort of jokes that would be known just to us. It's been great to sort of open up our world to the rest of the world.
She pops her head out and you see someone taking the wrong lane.
When the plane is landing and everyone gets up.
Yeah. That was hilarious.
We were trying to explain to the crew what we were trying to do, but then everyone was in on the joke.
Kamala will be featured in the Marvels with Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau. And she will probably, hopefully, also get to be in the Avengers, one of the Avengers movies. How do you think Kamala Khan and her culture will fit into a project of that scale? And would you, if asked, would you be interested in directing something like that?
I think that Kamala would fit right in. Iman Valiani is such a terrific actress. She was born to play Kamala Khan. She brings with her this vivaciousness and sort of this younger generation superhero, and she speaks to a completely new demographic. Our definition of superheroes is constantly evolving now, thanks to Marvel. Having her as part of this cadre of new superheroes will only serve in making the MCU reach a diverse audience.
If you could direct any of the superheroes apart from Miss Marvel in the MCU, which one would it be and why?
Oh, Lord. I'd love to direct the Avengers, to be honest, because I think that it's so diverse. Each one is so quirky and different. And I think telling that story, there are so many things that I feel like I could do with the characters in telling that story.
Kamala Khan continues her superhero journey Wednesdays on Disney+.
I'm a superhero.